this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I keep saying this is the last kitchen time, but this probably might be. And maybe not. We've still got the two Oncidium types that are in the house, neither of which have been repotted. One of which is finished blooming. I'm waiting for new roots, but this will be part 6 in the Cattleya type series. And one of the plants we repotted, a standard Cattleya repot for me, holy clay pot, large bark, done. This one, however, I'm going to mount. This is the Broughtonia Laelia cross, and it's been soaking in RO water with a bit of seaweed and a little bit of calcium nitrate, which is calcium with a tiny little, well, a small amount of nitrogen. That's not doing anything to the plant other than hopefully breaking down the strange media that it's on. I'm hoping to do this in one take, and I think I've got everything I need, so I won't have to stop. So this is just a single shot video with any luck. Oh, it's incredibly late in the day, and this is the 4th video I've done today. I'm trying to get a little bit of a backlog so that I don't need to film for a few days because I've got so much other stuff to do. Now, this hard coconut husk stuff is really grabbed hold of some of the roots, but because it's starting to rot, it is sort of coming off. There will be some root loss, bound to be, but it's just a matter of picking this over a little bit at a time and trying to tease it off. Most of the stuff in the centre came off last time we sort of looked at it, but you can see some roots are coming off. There's just got to be some root loss with this type of media. I think this type of half mount, half potted idea is perpetuated out in the likes of Thailand, where this coconut husk, or pieces of coconut shell almost, are just lying around, so it's like a free media, probably out there. Well, a lot of the young plants are just 2 pieces, sandwich the roots in the middle, strap it together and leave it. The idea being that by the time it needs dealing with, it should have been sold or exported, or both. And that's their theory. So if it starts to break down, it's normally somebody else's problem, and in this case it's mine. But it does eventually rot, and it'll take a root system down with it if you don't get it off. This is not taken the root system down, but it would do eventually. So it's not too far gone, I'm lucky. Sometimes you just have to put up with what a plant is in on the grounds you want the plant, and you just have to deal with any problems you encounter. And actually this is coming off better than I thought, but I was half expecting it to not be the most difficult task. One of the ones I had that was done like this, it took nearly all the roots off because it had grown down inside the actual coconut shell, and it just took the roots off. They just kept breaking. As fast as I was getting the stuff off, they were breaking. I ended up losing more and more. I ended up with next to nothing left. But this is not too bad. I'm trying not to leave any of it, but I have just had a thought. I want to run this under the tap and clean the worst of it out, so I will have to have a break with the camera. But what roots are left, some of these are actually okay. I mean, some have gone, you know, they just pull off, but some are still okay. So out of the existing root system there are some, but I have got new roots. I've got some new roots, and they're coming out from odd places. They're coming out from older pseudo-bulbs like here. So obviously there's several just there on that, and that's not a new pseudo-bulb. So it is starting to root, slowly but surely. But I do want to give the base of this plant a good wash. I think that's about all I'm going to be able to tease off. I can't feel any more hard pieces. Most of the hard bits that I'm feeling now are actually clusters of roots. There's a big bit there. Yeah, I think that's the base of the plant in there. Still a few bits right up against the base. Right, I'll stop the camera there and I'll give this a good run under the tap and then we'll come back. I'll be back. Okay, I've brought the camera in a lot closer than I normally do so that we can see this process. Delicate new roots, very close to old roots that I need to snip off. The process is to find those that are either soggy to the feel or that have obviously gone on the grounds that they are a spindly bit of like this. It just pulls off, yeah? So that needs to come right back to the base as close as you can get without taking the tips of your new roots off, which is why I have very, very pointed scissors so that I can get into places and just snip one root at a time if that's what I need to do. Not going to be able to get every single old root off, that's for sure, but we do our best. The more you can get off, the more room there is for new ones to grow. But if in doubt with Cattleyas, I would say leave the root rather than take it off. Just leave it, because if it's okay, it'll branch. And you know, why snip off a root that might grow? Always better to err on the side of caution with Cattleya types. Don't go mad. Those that are obvious, take them off. Those that you're unsure of, leave behind. If you got it wrong and a root does die back, it'll be there next time you deal with it to take off, won't it? So you get another go at it next time round, whenever that might be. I have to keep my eye on my screen actually, because I'm working very close to the camera. I'm liable to go off camera quite easily. Right, I've got a massive tangle here. I might end up just leaving. Some of those are okay and some of them aren't. Right, turn the plant slightly. Get another aspect, another view. Fiddly. Still, I knew it was going to be, and at the end of the day, what's the hurry? You know, it's take your time. And if it starts getting tedious and you're starting to get a bit slapdash, then take a break. The plant can wait. I mean, this could wait till tomorrow to finish it off if I really had to. I'm not, but I want it done now. But you know, if it's starting to get a bit like your eyes are tired or you're feeling tired, you start getting a bit snip happy, then take a break. Won't do you any harm, and it'll probably do the plant the world of good, because you'll be more accurate with your scissors and whatnot when you come back if you take a break. Some of these are not getting taken right off, some of them are just getting the ends taken off because it's just the end that's gone. And behind the damaged end or lost end is some good tissue, and that's the ones that can branch out. Now I'm turning it upside down now so that I can see this area here. Manky one, very manky one. But always watch what you're doing. Don't mask. Don't try and snip something that you can't really see, because you can virtually guarantee behind that bit you can't see is one of your live roots. So just make sure you turn. I mean, I'm not at the best aspect for doing this, because I'm trying to film at the same time and trying to keep the plant in line with the camera lens. Whereas normally I'd hold it right under my nose. Getting close. If that means changing your glasses to your reading glasses, then change your glasses. My glasses are one job fits all varifocals, so all I've got to do is tilt my head slightly and I've got the close focus bit, which is what I need for this, so that I can see what I'm doing. Get in there. Not going to take much more off. I always say that, don't I? And then I find another load to do, but still a few obvious bits here. I love it when they just come off with a slight tug. That saves snipping and cutting a new root off. Yep, that's it. That's not a lot had to be cut off, quite honestly, and some of what's left is not necessarily good stuff, but I don't want to go mad. And it's reasonably obvious this was grown on from a seedling, because it's really still got some of the tiny little bulbs, some of which have still got leaves, but they've gradually increased in size in this direction and in this general direction. So I'm just going to put that down and move the camera back again, so that we can all see what the hell's going on. Backing up. Somewhere like that. That'll do. Right, so plant to one side. Finish messing with that for now. I've got a reasonable size mount. It's a bit longer than I would like, but what's the point in taking that little bit off? It's just, what would that be good for? Not a lot. So I'm going to leave it at that. Keep it in its entirety. And we'll start from scratch. So first thing we need is a hole. Put the wire through. That went through easy. It's a thin piece, that's why I chose that particular place. There's a very deep recess there. Yeah, so I didn't have to go through quite so much bark to come out the back. So that's my hole done. Wire, it's normally forgotten and I have to go and get it. I always go in through the back so that my long piece is at the back of the mount, not the front. Doesn't really make a lot of difference, I suppose, but that's just how I do it. And then I just bend over the top. Round under there, over the top, and if necessary down again. And then what I usually do is get the pliers and just pinch it where it bends round, and then it doesn't slip, it just grabs everything and doesn't slide around too much. We don't need that great big long bit, so I'll have that off now before I catch my fingers on it, because there would be language. And I know I don't need that much, I cut far too much off, I need quite a short hook for that. When I cut pieces off like that, I keep them. You never know, I use them for holding things in the grow room, you know, just like wires to racks and things like that. They're always good for just grabbing hold of things. I'm just going to pinch that tight because it's a little loose. Now it's not. So that's that. Right, plant positioning. Now, new growths are here and here. The one that was around the other side decided it wanted to rot off, so it's gone. But nonetheless, the obvious growing area is this part of the plant. Now you've got two choices. That either needs to go at the top and the plant goes at the bottom of the mount, yeah? Or you go the other way round and let the area that's liable to put up the most new growths be at the bottom of the plant and the top of the mount. Or you can split the difference and put the whole lot in the middle. There are choices. I want this one flat, So I'm not going to try and mount it like that or the other way around like that. I'm actually going to mount it flat so that the growths come straight out. If they want to head upwards in future lives, they will choose to do so. Now this may break some roots because there's no point in having a huge air gap under here. I need it quite tight to the mount. Most of the reasonable roots are now at the top of the mount, but the new growths are here and here. That's the most likely place the next lot of roots are going to come from. So that's where it's going to go. If the direction of growth heads off in that way, it's got plenty of mount, and if it heads off in the other direction, it's got plenty. It's unlikely to continuously grow downwards. It's more likely by planting it this way up to head out sideways. So that sits quite nicely like that. Yep, that'll do. Now I'm putting the tiniest amount of moss underneath this plant because the centre of the plant is probably not going to touch the mount, and if little roots come out there, there's nothing at all for them. There's a slight hollow in the mount as well, so the poor little thing has got to try and get some roots into something. Once they start hitting the mount and going out, they'll spread and they'll just grab hold at that point. But there's no roots on this plant at the moment that are going to grab hold except for those tiny little new ones that are just starting. Providing they continue to grow, that will be good. It's not a heavy plant, so I can do this with fishing line. If it was a very heavy plant, I'd wire it, but it isn't, so I don't need to. It's quite a lightweight plant. So we will be fishing line, yeah. And most of the fishing line is going to go that way round, vertical. Yeah, I may have to put one that way, but not many. But that would be a large piece of fishing line. 9 inches times 2, that's 18 inches to go round once. Yeah, so I'll make sure I've got plenty. I've got plenty, so I just will make sure I've got plenty. One day I'm going to run out of fishing line. I'll actually have to go and buy some more. Then we'll have some fun because I haven't got a clue what to buy. I was given that. I've been using it ever since. Don't know how many metres of line there are on there, but there's no sign of it running out yet. Not in the slightest. So we'll continue until such times as it starts getting a bit thin on the ground. And I've actually got a fishing tackle shop quite close to where I live. So I can take a bit of this in and say, have you got any more of that? I don't have to know what gauge it is or what breaking strain it is. It's always worked okay, and I've never managed to break this by hand, ever. I've pulled it in all sorts of hard pulls and yanks and stretching, and I've never managed to break it. So I don't know what breaking strain it is, but it's beyond Roger's normal breaking strain. Now we're going to have a bit of an experiment because you know I've started liking to use live moss, yeah? Well, first thing I want to do is get some live moss on here. It's going to make it more difficult to mount the plant, but I want the moss on first. I know I don't normally do this, but there's no roots at the moment, so the moss hopefully will be growing on the mount by the time the roots take off, and then the roots can either decide to go in it, on it, under it. They can please and flip themselves. Now I've got two types of moss here. This is getting a bit scraggy, but that's moss, I don't know what sort. This is some bits of my live sphagnum moss off the tray. Quite a few people said your moss is looking good. Well, let's use some then. So I'm going to put some of that on there as well. So we've got the dead stuff. We've got some live sphagnum moss, and we've got some moss of unknown origins or variety. And once the roots get going, they won't necessarily need much moss to grow in. They'll be quite happy bare rooted, with the base of their roots near the plant in some moss. If the ends start sticking out and end up being bare rooted but attached, they will work well. And if they head off into space, there'll be aerial roots, so be it. Right then, you're going to go there. So we've got some roots sticking out, and we'll stick a little bit of moss on those. That'll just help hydrate the plant. Don't need much. Remember, the plant is sat on moss. Oh, it's sitting there quite nicely on its own. Oh goody. Right, now one hand to hold the plant and the other one to do the work. I've got to aim now. I don't want to start garrotting bits of plant, so I'm going to go in through there like that. That's one. Pull my end through, because if I get it tangled twice it'll be a hell of a job to get it to come back through. Then I'm going to come round here and just go round that last pseudo bulb on its own. That's two. Now I'm going to try and go through the middle somewhere, which will be about there. Thread that through there. That's three. Now, how tight is it? That would do. That would actually do. And I'm not sure I've got enough to go round horizontally anyway. Is there anywhere else I can get round? I don't want to go anywhere near that new growth. And if I start going in there, I'll be going round the top of the pseudo bulbs instead of round the base. I've already got one across the middle. New growth. I'm just going to go round that end again, but cut across this time. So cut across diagonally, and that's it. Now all I've got to do is find somewhere to tie, perch the plant on its leaves. That'll do it a world of good. And just find somewhere to tie this off, which is there, I believe. Is that my little loop? Soon find out when I pull. Oh, get off. Yep, that was it. Oh goody. Got that right first time. Which at the end of a long day is often debatable. I end up tying my finger to the mount now, and then I'll be mounted. Right over left, left over right. Well, you can do it the other way around if you like, and it'll grab. It won't come undone. And if you're absolutely in doubt, put a third one on the top, which quite honestly does absolutely no good at all. It's the first two that do the job. Right, two ends, put to one side so pussycats don't get hold of them. And there we go. So it's quite firm, it's not moving. The new growth pointing downwards, that will probably come up through that gap or up through that gap to open its leaf. And then we've got one on the end which will naturally rise up. And where the other new growth was, I've forgotten, but I've got a feeling it was around here somewhere, which it may try again. It may try again. Right, I'm just tucking a few bits of moss in so that they don't fall off. I did actually forget to do a turn just for the moss, but most of the moss is in under the plant. There's only this little bit here that's hanging out. That will probably stay there. It's quite a rough, gnarly mount. So there we go, that's that one done. One potted, one mounted. I certainly don't need a tag for that. I'm never going to forget what this one is. Well, that's it, job done. The only other thing you have to do is put a bend in the hook. There we go, that's that. And the other thing I'm going to do is take that off. You might think why. The reason is it'll stop it going back against one of the racks, because it was a sticking out pointy bit. Yeah? It will stop the mount lying flat. And there's one the other end as well that can come off for the same reason. Large pointy bit. It's the beauty of this bark, it just tears. So if you've got some bits sticking out, you just tear them off. So you can see it's a hell of a curve on the back here. And these bits are sticking out quite a bit. Right, that'll do then. Nicely done. In the dark, or in the half light, by the magic of software I will have brightened this up at the time you see it. So there we go, that's that one done. See you next time.